In order to have a successful diplomacy, have secrecy, dispatch, unit, continuity, and access to information. One of the roles of the president is being the chief of state. This is when the president is the head of government and the symbolic leader. An example of this is when Obama held a state dinner and invited the Indian Prime Minister along with 300 guests. Another role of the president is being the commander-in-chief. This is in peace and war, he's the supreme commander of the armed forces. This is both the Army and the Navy. An example of this is when Obama added 30,000 troops to Afghanistan in 2010, and this received praise from the Republicans. The president is also the chief executive. This is when the president has broad executive powers in domestic and foreign affairs. An example of this is when Obama raised the minimum wage for federal contract workers from $10.10 an hour in hopes to raise the minimum wage for millions of people in America. The chief administrator is when the president is the leader of the executive branch of the federal government. Obama nominated John Kerry as the Secretary of State for his second term as president. This is an example of him being the chief administrator because he's representing the Democrats with adding another Democrat into his cabinet. The president is also the chief of citizens. This is when the president strives to embody American ideals and serves the nation by acting in its best interest. In order to create the stability of the community, the executive branch signed Executive Order establishing the Task Force on the 21st Century Policing. This charged them on how police practices can promote effective crime reduction while building public trust.
The Electoral College is the body of people chosen to formally vote for the president and vice president. There are 435 representatives, 100 senators, and 3 more for the District of Columbia, all that make up 538 electors who vote to decide the president. A majority of 270 votes is needed for a candidate to become the president. Each state is given a certain amount of electoral votes. Each state is given 2 senators and 1 representative to start out. Then, based on population, they're given more representatives. Electorates in each state are chosen every 4 years. Most states have a winner-takes-all approach to the electoral votes, so if a candidate wins the popular vote in that state, all of their electoral votes will go to that candidate. However, Maine and Nebraska split their electoral votes instead of giving all of them to one candidate. The Electoral College was put in place to give smaller states a more equal voice in who becomes the president. This kept larger states from voting for their local candidate and automatically winning because of their size. There are 2 main political parties, the Democratic Party, which believes in liberalism and progressivism, and the Republican Party, which believes in conservatism and traditionalism. There are also smaller parties such as the Green Party and the Libertarian Party. An alternative to a one-person executive is a 2-person, 2-party presidency. It would represent more than one political party and be more balanced in the legislative and executive branch. It could also promote political harmony.
The directory is an example of a multiple executive branch, which is when there's more than one person in the executive branch. This was created in France in the late 1700s. On the positive side, this provided the basis for Napoleon's restoration of order, and it also instituted positive monetary reforms, which helped increase trade and agriculture. On the negative side, the government will overturn results and purge the legislator if results were led against them in their elections each year. Also, they enforce the military force to make the Constitution work, which caused violence in the country and electoral. Also, currency was rendered worthless, which caused multiple people to distrust them.
created using Powtoon.